Your body's repair system is starving. Here's something nobody tells you at your annual physical. Your body is constantly trying to repair itself, every single day. And the question isn't whether that repair system is working, it's whether you're feeding it or starving it. I want to say something that might sound a little blunt, but I mean it genuinely. Most people walking around right now have a stem cell system that's underperforming. Not because of some rare disease, not because of genetics, because of what they're eating, or more accurately, what they're not eating. Stem cells are your body's maintenance crew. They replace damaged tissue in your gut lining, your blood vessels, your brain, your joints. When that crew is depleted, and it depletes faster as you age, faster if you're under stress, faster if your diet is poor, things start breaking down quietly. You don't feel it at first. That's the part that worries me. I've had patients tell me they felt fine right up until they didn't, and by then, we're already behind. Before we continue, let's build a strong health community here. Help me understand you better. Tell me, how old are you? Which country are you watching from? And what health problem are you currently struggling with? Comment below. I read everything and it helps me create better videos for you. So today, I want to talk about 7 specific foods, real foods, nothing exotic, nothing you need a prescription for, that research shows actually support stem cell activity. Let's get into it. In my years of practice, I've noticed something. Patients come in with fatigue, slow wound healing, brain fog, recurring infections, and the first thing they want to know is what's wrong with them. And often, nothing is catastrophically wrong, but their body's ability to maintain and repair itself has just quietly declined. The patients I worry about most aren't the dramatic cases. They're the ones who are sort of okay, functional but not thriving, and they've normalized feeling that way. They think it's just aging, they think it's just stress, and sometimes it is, but sometimes there's a nutritional piece being missed, completely missed, because nobody sat down and had this conversation with them. Look, I'm not going to tell you food is magic, it isn't, but the biology here is real, and the research is solid, and I think you deserve to hear it in plain language. Your stem cells, the cells that repair and regenerate tissues throughout your body, they respond to your environment. They respond to what you eat, how you sleep, how much chronic inflammation you're carrying. And certain compounds found in food have been shown in legitimate research to support stem cell proliferation and function. So think of this less like a diet tip video and more like me pulling up a chair after a long clinic day and actually telling you what I'd tell my own family. If this is making sense to you, stick around the channel. We need to have more of these conversations. All right. Let's go through them. Let's start with something you've probably already heard me or someone like me mention: blueberries. I sound like a broken record, but I've been recommending these to patients all week, so here we go again. The relevant compound here is pterostilbene, and a group of antioxidants called anthocyanins. What these do, practically speaking, is reduce oxidative stress, which is essentially cellular damage caused by unstable molecules. And that stress is one of the main things that suppresses stem cell activity in aging tissue. Research out of Tufts University found that blueberry supplementation in older models actually helped restore some neurological function linked to neural stem cell activity. That's not nothing. The patients who push back on this one usually say, "But I eat some fruit." And when I dig into it, they mean once in a while. We're talking about a meaningful daily amount, half a cup to a cup consistently. Fresh or frozen, doesn't matter much. Frozen is fine. This is a low-effort, low-cost intervention. There's really no good reason not to. This one surprises people more than it probably should. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, epigallocatechin galate. I know that sounds like I'm reading off a pharmaceutical label, so let me just say it's a polyphenol, which means it's a plant compound with some pretty significant biological activity. Here's the frustrating part. Most people who drink green tea are drinking it wrong. 1 cup, occasionally, usually after they've already had 3 coffees. That's not going to move the needle. What the research actually shows, and there's a notable study from MIT on this, specifically looking at intestinal stem cells, is that EGCG influences signaling pathways that regulate stem cell self-renewal. What does that mean in plain language? It means this compound interacts with the machinery that tells stem cells when to replicate and repair. particularly in the gut lining, which is an area that turns over incredibly fast and needs constant maintenance. Your gut lining is being rebuilt roughly every 5 to 7 days, every week. That process requires active, functioning stem cells. When those stem cells are compromised, through poor diet, chronic stress, certain medications, the gut lining doesn't repair properly. And then you've got permeability issues, inflammation, nutrient absorption problems. It cascades. I had a patient, middle-aged guy, came in mostly for joint pain, and when we dug into his history, he had years of gut symptoms he'd completely normalized. Bloating, irregular digestion, just living with it. We made some changes, green tea being one of them, alongside other dietary shifts. He didn't come back transformed. He came back 3 months later saying his stomach was a little better. That's how it usually goes, slow and undramatic.
2 to 3 cups a day of actual brewed green tea. Not a supplement, not a powder added to something, just the tea. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens. I know, you've heard this, but let me tell you why in a way that's actually useful. These vegetables are high in folate, which is a B vitamin, and also in compounds that support what's called epigenetic regulation. Epigenetics is basically how your environment influences which of your genes get turned on or off, and stem cell behavior is heavily epigenetically regulated. Research from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health has consistently linked diets high in leafy greens to reduced inflammatory markers and better cellular aging profiles. The folate piece is particularly important because folate is directly involved in DNA synthesis and repair, which is exactly what stem cells are doing when they replicate. Does this sound familiar to you?
You're told to eat your vegetables, you nod, and then nothing changes. I get it, but I want you to understand the mechanism because it makes it real. The practical thing I tell patients, aim for 2 cups of cooked greens per day or 3 to 4 cups raw. A handful in a smoothie in the morning counts. Sautéed with dinner counts. Just get them in. One thing that does matter, cooking with some fat, like olive oil, helps absorb the fat-soluble nutrients. So don't eat plain steamed spinach out of a sad bowl and think that's optimal. This is where I want to spend a little more time because there's a meaningful biological mechanism here that I think is genuinely underappreciated, even among physicians.
Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. Now, most people have heard omega-3s are good for your heart. That's true, but it's underselling what's actually going on. One of the primary mechanisms through which omega-3s support the body is through the reduction of chronic low-grade inflammation. And I want to be clear about what chronic low-grade inflammation actually is, because it's not what most people picture. It's not swelling. It's not pain necessarily. It's a persistent, low-level activation of your immune system, a kind of background noise your body is generating that over time degrades tissue, impairs cellular signaling, and suppresses stem cell function. NIH-funded research has specifically shown that inflammatory cytokines, the molecules driving that background noise, directly inhibit mesenchymal stem cell activity. These are the stem cells involved in maintaining bone, cartilage, muscle, and connective tissue. So when I have a patient who's asking me why they're recovering from a sprain slower than they used to, or why a small cut takes longer to close than it did 10 years ago, part of that answer is inflammation is muting the repair system, and omega-3s are one of the more effective dietary tools we have for dampening that signal. The research on this is substantial. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that omega-3 supplementation significantly reduced levels of key inflammatory markers, IL-6, TNF-alpha, across populations. These aren't obscure markers. These are the ones we track in patients with chronic inflammatory conditions. But this is what usually gets missed. People take an omega-3 supplement, usually a low-quality fish oil capsule that smells like the bottom of a boat, and they think that handles it. The dose in most over-the-counter supplements is actually quite low. If you're relying on supplementation, you need to be talking to your doctor about the actual dose and quality. The better approach, honestly, is food. 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week is the target I give most patients. Curious sardines are my actual recommendation because they're cheap, they're sustainable, and they're off the top of the food chain, so they're lower in mercury. Most people make a face when I say sardines. That's fine. Salmon works too. Just last Tuesday, I had a woman in my office. She'd been taking fish oil for 2 years, convinced she was covered. When I asked her what kind, she showed me a photo on her phone. It was a low-potency gummy. We had a conversation. We adjusted her plan.
These details matter. This one I want to frame slightly differently, because it connects to a concept that's gotten a lot of attention recently, autophagy, and I want to give you the version that's actually clinically grounded rather than oversold. Certain mushrooms, particularly reishi, lion's mane, and shiitake, contain polysaccharides called beta-glucans. These compounds do a few things. They modulate immune function, they support gut microbiome health, and emerging research is showing they may directly stimulate hematopoietic stem cells, the stem cells in your bone marrow that produce your blood cells. A study published in the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms found that beta-glucan extracts from reishi supported bone marrow stem cell proliferation in a way that's relevant to immune recovery. This research is still developing. I want to be honest about that.
We're not at the point where I can tell you to eat mushrooms and reverse a blood disorder. But the mechanistic evidence is compelling enough that I think it deserves a serious look. The reason I connect this to intermittent fasting is that fasting, specifically the cellular stress it creates, triggers autophagy, which is your cell's internal cleanup process. And what research out of MIT from Dr. David Sabatini's lab and others has shown is that this fasting-induced stress can actually prime stem cells, making them more responsive. Mushrooms, separately, appear to support the immune and hematopoietic side of that equation.
I'm not telling you to fast. Fasting is not right for everyone, and it's not something you should start without context, especially if you're on medications or managing blood sugar. But I am saying these two pieces, dietary compounds and metabolic practices, don't exist in isolation. Your body is a system. Practically, shiitake mushrooms in your cooking a few times a week is a reasonable, low-risk starting point. Lion's mane is available in supplement form if you want to go further, but talk to your doctor about that before adding anything new. Does this sound like something you've never heard your own doctor bring up? Tell me in the comments, has your doctor ever actually discussed nutrition at this level with you? I'll be honest, this one used to make me skeptical. Bone broth had a moment a few years ago where it felt like every wellness blog was calling it a cure for everything, and that kind of hype makes me professionally nervous.
But when I actually looked at the research, there's a legitimate signal underneath the noise. Bone broth and collagen-rich foods, which include things like slow-cooked meats, skin on poultry, certain fish, provide glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. These are amino acids that serve as building blocks for connective tissue, and they also influence the stem cell niche, which is essentially the microenvironment where stem cells live and get their signals. Research from Stanford has shown that glycine in particular has anti-inflammatory and cytoprotective properties, meaning it helps protect cells from damage, and a healthy stem cell niche depends on that kind of protection. Here's the practical reality. Most people's diets are very low in these amino acids because they eat lean muscle meat almost exclusively. Boneless, skinless chicken breast, which is fine, nutritionally, doesn't give you much glycine. Our grandparents who made actual stock from bones were, without knowing it, getting something we've largely removed from the modern diet. I'm not saying you need to spend your weekends making stock from scratch, though if you want to, that's great. Commercially available bone broth has variable quality. Look for one that actually gels when cold, which tells you the collagen content is real. Collagen peptide supplements have reasonable evidence behind them and are a practical alternative for most people. This isn't magic. It's filling a gap that's been quietly created by how modern food is processed and packaged. All right, let's wrap this up the way I'd end a good clinic appointment. You now know that blueberries, green tea, dark leafy greens, omega-3 rich fish, mushrooms, and collagen-rich foods all have real, research-backed evidence supporting stem cell function and tissue repair. None of this is experimental. None of this requires a specialist referral or a prescription. What it requires is consistency. And I'll be straight with you. The patients who see the difference aren't the ones who tried something for 2 weeks. They're the ones who made it part of how they eat, week after week, without making it complicated. The reality is, your body is doing its best to maintain and repair itself every single day. Your job, your actual job as someone who lives in this body, is to give it the raw material to do that. These foods are part of that raw material. You know what to ask for now? Go do it. Talk to your doctor about your diet. If they wave you off, push a little. This is your health, and you deserve a real conversation about it. As always, I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. Please talk to your own physician before making any significant changes, especially if you're managing a chronic condition or taking medications. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.